Well, as you can see here, this is the calendar layout that I came up with. Um, this is the design that I ended up digitizing for the top. And it gets pretty intricate. We can zoom in here a little bit. So, yeah, I wanted to make it look special. So I did a lot of interesting tatami patterns overall, and some messings with some threads that are kind of close to give that light dark kind of effect, like on a cloth that's wrapped around, things like that. So, okay, so um, I think that's going to be a really nice topper to the calendar. So the next thing I had to do was figure out how these pockets are all going to lay out and what that size is going to be. And so basically, each pocket is 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. And there's like an inch gap between each row so you can get access to get in and out of each pocket. And I like that the six per row fit really well, and I just put the 25th one up here because it's kind of my logo. Um, and it fit in with the topper. I just moved the topper over a little bit. I had to squeeze it down just a tad to get my pocket up there, but that's where it ended up being, and I think that layout worked great. So the next thing, and this is hatch, I don't know if you can see this red line going around everything. That's the size of your hoop. And on my machine, this is, you can see how huge it is. Uh, my table is 500 millimeters by 450. So I actually have to double hoop this to stitch it all out. So basically, I had to break this down into two stitch outs, right? So the top one, all it has is, the main design, and then it has the pockets. So, and I'll get more in detail about this pocket and why it's there and in that in a little bit here. So hang on. So that's all that's needed when this is stitched. I can then rehoop it, and now the only thing that be in it are all the other pockets. So I can attach, and that's what these are. These are satin stitches that are going to attach the pockets to the calendar itself. And I just wanted to use an applique. I really did. But appliques can't have open ends. So, in essence, I built my own applique. Right? So, let's look at what I did. So, with appliques, and if you think about what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to attach a piece of cloth to a piece of cloth, really. And so I wanted to make sure that my satin stitch that goes around here in gold is going to grab most of, or a big chunk of it should be grabbing the top pocket to anchor that top pocket in place. And so this green line that you see going around, that is just like in your applique, right? So that's your first base stitch line that goes out that shows you, where you have to put your applique in, right? And then, so you'd put the pocket in, the pocket piece, and then we'd sew the satin on top of it, and that locks your pocket in. That was the theory. In the end, it took some doing to figure it out and really get it right. So I had a little slop in there. And I also had to figure out how to prepare and embroider the pockets to get the best there. So the first thing I did is I knew I wanted to make the pocket stitch. So on the pockets, when I make those, I'm also going to have the number, right, plus this lovely outline, and this is the pocket. So this is going to tell me, after I stitch this, how and where to cut, right? So that when I come back to here, you'll see I'm just inside that green line. I'm a half a millimeter in. So it gives me a little bit of slop to play under this. The satin's 3.5 millimeters wide, so I should be good. And because the satin's huge on the pocket side and not so much on the calendar side over here, it should hold it down really well. And that's what happened eventually, right? So I had to figure out basically how to stitch the pocket, and how to attach it as well. And I got some examples here of what I did and what ended up happening. So here's the first one, and you can see the gold stitching gave me a place to know where to fold. And that's what I thought at first, like, duh, because I wanted this top line folded over to give it a nice folded crease, right? When you see that pocket, because you're going to have to get into this pocket, right? So I tried folding over these and attaching it, and yeah, here. And this was the result. Whoops, let me get in frame here. So, and the problem was, if you look at that corner, because of the fold and the thickness, because I also had, like a crazy idiot, I had cutaway on the back of the pocket plus mesh. And that made it thick, plus the double thickness, and then the thickness of everything that's going to be on the background. I broke a needle. And I thought at doing it at that corner. So I backed up a bit, put another needle in the machine, ran it around, snapped another needle in the exact same spot. And I went, oh man. So I knew there was something wrong here. So the next thing then was to make the pocket better. I just wanted to give you a better picture of the pocket. So as you can see, here's the pocket, and the tearaway's gone, so all you can see is the mesh, right? And then this top green part will fold over to give you that, whoops, sorry, dropped you, to give you that folded over pocket like that. So that's what I ended up coming to, so I want to show you, here's one of the finished pockets that I actually did the whole process with, right? So you got a nice entry point, it's all attached really, really well, so it worked out really great. And I even have one of my test ornaments that I did, and as you can see, it just slides right in. So all in all, I think this is going to work. When I do the bottom, there's 24 of them that are going to be done. So I'll do 24 layout lines, so I'll know where to put all the pockets, right? Then I'll have to tape down or attach all the pockets. And I think I can do that. The seam tape I have should keep it. I don't need a lot of it, because I don't want to gum up my needles either going through that. But, you got to somewhere, right? So I strategically going to place the smallest amount of seam tape I can get away with, double-sided seam tape, to put all the pockets in. And then that way, I start it at this one here at 1, and I just go bing, 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 and just doing row after row after row, right? So the first one will actually this will be the 25th pocket, which is my logo pocket. So that'll be done on the first hooping of making the calendar. And uh, then together I'll get this overall design, right, with all the nice pockets and all the lovely numbers on them. These are not the final placements. You know, the numbers are all kind of skewed here. They're just on here to show you what for me it was just a design document, really. So I wanted to see where everything's going to lay it out. I wanted to use the actual stitch outs that I'm going to use, right? So I had the sides right and everything looked right. So to my eye, if I could check everything and see if everything looked right. So that got me through the pockets, and like I said, I finally got a final pocket that works. Looks really well. So I will have those. So now I can start in. Remember, I got to make 12 of each one of these pockets. So that's 25 times 12. So I got a lot of pockets to make just to stitch the numbers out. So I'm probably going to work on those. If I get bored doing pockets, then I may throw in one of the ornaments and do one of the ornaments just to give me a break, right? So I think that's the plan for now. I'll make more as I do more. So hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment. Love to hear from all you people out there. It's always good feedback, regardless of what it is. So have a great one. See ya.